This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, November 7th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Donald Trump supporters celebrate his second stint as commander-in-chief, with a Congress likely controlled by Republicans, too. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
Kamala Harris is urging backers to accept the election's results.
It's not what we wanted.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Donald Trump had already appointed 3 Supreme Court justices, and in his second term, he could have a chance to name 2 more. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
A judge orders Rudy Giuliani to appear in court Thursday to explain why he has yet to turn over his belongings. I'm Julie Walker.
On Wall Street, stocks open at all-time highs across most indexes this morning after Donald Trump clinched the White House. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Ride-share drivers in one American state will soon be unionizing. I'm Clayton Neville.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Former President Donald Trump becomes President-elect Trump for a second time, with Republicans winning back the Senate and on the verge of keeping the House under GOP control. John Stolnis has more from Washington.
Yesterday, Michigan's 15 electoral votes made their way into Trump's tally, the final domino of the so-called blue wall battleground states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, flipping from blue back to red, just like they did in 2016. As of midnight Eastern last night, Trump had earned 295 electoral votes to Kamala Harris's 226, more than enough for him to win the presidency, with that total expected to go up as he leads in Nevada and Arizona, too. New York Trump supporter Christine Randall was euphoric in the wake of his victory.
There's a reset that's needed in the whole world today, and I believe that he's been ordained to do it.
4 years ago, Biden won the important Philadelphia suburb of Bucks County by 4 points. This year, Trump won by 1/10 of a point. Ed Shepard is part of the Republican committee in that county.
When you're seeing a whole new demographic move from one party to another, or even just get involved, you know that something special is going to happen.
According to exit polling, Trump made big gains among minority voters. 4 years ago, President Biden won Latinos by 33 points. This year, Harris won by just 10 points, a 23-point swing for Trump. And it was especially stark among Latino men, which Trump won by 10 points. He's also made gains among African Americans. Trump voter Vianette Vargas explained why Democrats lost votes among blacks.
People always voted Democrat because they always felt like the Democratic Party was for the people, but that's not true.
University of Boulder, Colorado law professor Doug Spencer says the country is in the middle of a political revolution.
We're seeing a realignment among non-white voters. A lot of non-white voters voted for the Republican candidate than we've seen. More black voters voted for Trump than any Republican candidate, I think, since Reconstruction. But that changes the dynamic of politics.
Republicans have also taken back the Senate, now with 52 seats to the Democrats' 44, with 4 races still to be called. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who is stepping down as Republican leader, explained why he thought Trump won.
I think it was a referendum on the current administration, in part. People were just not happy with this administration, and the Democratic nominee obviously was a part of it.
As for the House, Republicans hold 206 seats, 12 short of a majority, but Democrats have just 191. And with 38 races still to be called, Republicans may end up keeping the House, both chambers of Congress, and the White House come January. John Stolnis, Washington.
Standing at the university she attended in Washington, D.C., Kamala Harris spoke to her supporters, but not as president-elect. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports Harris is urging backers to accept the election's results, but not abandon their fight.
I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time, but for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case.
Kamala Harris is urging backers to accept the election's results and also keep up the fight for their beliefs.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted. Folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election.
Harris says while she's conceding the race to Donald Trump,
I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
In a speech at Howard University, her alma mater, which was to be the site of her victory speech, Harris says the fight must go on.
Every one of us, no matter who we are or where we start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be respected and upheld. And we will continue to wage this fight in the voting booth, in the courts, and in the public square.
Harris says she called Trump to congratulate him. The White House says President Biden did the same, inviting his predecessor turned successor to meet with him soon. The president will address the election results Thursday.
Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Today's top stories are brought to you by Sleep Number. Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? It's the only bed that allows you to make each side firmer or softer whenever you want. Save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition smart bed. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com. Under court order, Giuliani refuses to surrender. That's when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. The calendar says fall. The forecast shows signs of winter. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
The first major long-duration snow event of the early part of the cold season will press on through much of mainly southern and eastern Colorado today, and even into most of New Mexico near into the north of Interstate 40 into the start of the weekend, as a potent, slow-moving storm keeps enough cold air in place to create a broad zone of at least 3 to 6 inches of additional snow, including areas from Colorado Springs and Denver into northern New Mexico. Some of the high ground of central New Mexico may pick up a foot or more of new snow before all is said and done, with lighter amounts perhaps reaching as far to the east as far western Kansas through Friday. Most or all of the remainder of the west will be dry today, with many places in for chilly conditions away from the coast, but in Southern California, a Santa Ana wind event will continue today, with wind gusts of 40 to 80 miles per hour and very low humidity, leading to an increased fire risk in the usual spots to the north and southeast of the Los Angeles area. Heading to the southeast, extremely moist conditions due to some enhancement from Hurricane Rafael that now spins over the eastern Gulf of Mexico will result in additional very heavy rain today. Rafael itself is expected to make a turn to the west and remain over the Gulf of Mexico instead of turning toward the Gulf Coast, but intense rainfall rates will persist mainly from Georgia into South Carolina, where the rain, although beneficial in some drought-stricken areas, will fall too quickly to provide the proper benefit. Showers will also dot an area from Mississippi to the Tennessee and Ohio valleys and even southern New Jersey ahead of a cold front as dry weather extends northward across New England and westward to the northern plains. In Atlanta, it's going to be cloudy and humid today with a shower around and a high of 76. For San Francisco, expect sunshine and a high of 69. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. The next 4 years of a Donald Trump administration is expected to bring about change in Washington government and on Capitol Hill. As correspondent Haya Panjwani reports, this also includes the future of the Supreme Court under Trump's second term in office.
Donald Trump had already appointed 3 Supreme Court justices, and in his second term, he could have a chance to name 2 more. That could mean a high court with a Trump-appointed majority that could serve for decades. The 2 eldest justices, Clarence Thomas, who's 76, and Samuel Alito, who's 74, could consider stepping down, knowing that Trump, a Republican, would nominate replacements. Those replacements might be 3 decades younger and could ensure conservative domination of the court through the middle of the century or beyond. If both men were to retire, they probably wouldn't do it at once to minimize disruption. But Thomas has said on more than one occasion that he has no intention of retiring. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
Former New York City mayor and Donald Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani has a court date this morning after failing to surrender his belongings in an election misinformation lawsuit. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
A judge orders Rudy Giuliani to appear in court Thursday to explain why he has yet to turn over his belongings, including a Mercedes that looks like the one he was seen riding around in on Election Day in Palm Beach as part of a $148 million defamation judgment. This comes after two former Georgia election workers sued Giuliani and won, but say they haven't been able to collect. Among the possessions Giuliani owes, a $5 million Upper East Side apartment, a 1980 Mercedes, once owned by movie star Lauren Bacall, and a variety of other belongings. Giuliani's spokesperson says they tried to transfer the car's title and haven't heard back from opposing counsel. I'm Julie Walker.
Wall Street investors react to the Trump win. Markets soar. That in business news when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Thanks for listening. You're with America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments has a team of specialists in investing, financial planning, estate planning, and more. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after Donald Trump won the presidency, and stocks had a monster day yesterday. Major averages all hit new all-time highs. Investors are hoping the Trump victory means less regulation for companies and higher profits. The Dow, coming off its best day in 2 years, it soared 1,500 points.
You have the market's tendency, and this happened in 2016 too, where you front load the positive implications of all that is expected, and then down the road it gets complicated by tariffs. In this case, I think what's being under-discussed is mass deportations on day one and what that means for labor supply, what it means for businesses, getting disrupted.
CNBC's Mike Santoli, one billionaire investor hedge fund manager, had some cautious words, though.
Stocks are fully valued and are more likely to go down than up from here. And that if one was a trader, the sell strength of the opening. And that the market will be down next year.
Omega Family Office Chairman and CEO Leon Cooperman on CNBC. Bitcoin surged to a record high of more than $75,000 on what the industry sees as a friendly new administration in Washington. Banking stocks also flew yesterday on the prospect of a lot less regulation. What went down in terms of share price? Well, there was a carnage in clean energy stocks. Sunrun, First Solar, and Enphase, to name a few. Investors expect a halt to measures that fight climate change. Shares of private prison companies in the U.S. were higher on the Trump win. He's promised a crackdown on illegal immigration and on day one, a roundup and deportation of mass groups of people. GEO Group shares surged more than 20%. Core Civic shares were higher as well.
Jessica, why did mortgage rates actually go up yesterday?
Yeah, so mortgage rates follow the yield on the 10-year Treasury, and the bond market thinks a Trump presidency means more tax breaks for corporations and the wealthy and more spending by the government. And that will push the U.S. further into debt.
At the end of the day, I think the market's saying that the outlook is pretty good and the economy can live with interest rates at these levels.
Yardeni Research's Ed Yardeni on CNBC. Now the rate on a 30-year fixed home loan surged yesterday from 7% in the morning to 7.13% by the afternoon, according to Mortgage News Daily. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it means a ton of money on a home loan over 30 years. On today's watch list, we get a Fed decision on interest rates. It's widely expected to cut. We got a load of earnings reports coming today from big names like Warner Brothers Discovery, Molson Coors Brewing, Duke Energy, and Krispy Kreme.
There's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return, collective bargaining hits the rideshare platform when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Back now. This is America in the Morning. Justice Department officials are evaluating how to wind down the 2 federal criminal cases against President-elect Donald Trump before he takes office. The move would comply with long-standing department policy that a sitting president can't be prosecuted. The timing? Suspicious for special counsel Jack Smith, who in recent weeks took significant steps in the election interference case against Trump. However, the clock is ticking as it's becoming clear that no trial is likely to begin anytime this year for the classified documents case or the events of January 6th. In both instances, it will presumably be up to Smith to decide how to bring both cases to a close. Big changes are coming to Uber and Lyft in Massachusetts. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports the rideshare drivers will soon be bearing the union label.
Drivers for Uber and Lyft currently don't have the right to organize under the National Labor Relations Act. That's a federal law that covers actual employees. Well, voters in Massachusetts this week approved a ballot measure that allows rideshare drivers to unionize, becoming the first U.S. state to allow drivers for app-based companies to do that. 53% of voters endorsed the idea that essentially lets rideshare drivers who are considered by the companies to be independent contractors to organize and bargain collectively over their pay and their benefits. Advocates in Massachusetts hopeful that the ballot measure could provide a model for other states moving forward to let Uber and Lyft drivers unionize in those states. I'm Clayton Neville.
America in the Morning for Thursday, November 7th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer, Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Donald Trump will be back in the White House after a political comeback for the ages. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Donald Trump's presidential win will be certified in Congress in January by the candidate he beat. I'm Julie Walker.
The world reacts to another Trump presidency. I'm Clayton Neville.
The latest on where Hurricane Rafael will head after hitting Cuba.
12-year-old boy was among 5 people who died in a fiery crash near a suburban Phoenix airport. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Crypto prices soar after the election. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
Celebrities react to the election of Donald Trump. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Thanks for joining us. Rain, thunderstorms, and snow are in the forecast today. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Following a lull in severe weather on Wednesday, dangerous thunderstorms return to the forecast today as an intensifying storm slowly tracks through the southwest just to the north of the Mexican border. The circulation of wind around this storm will bring in Gulf of Mexico moisture to much of central and eastern Texas, and as the disturbance shifts to the east, thunderstorms are expected to fire up this afternoon and last into the night from the Big Bend of Texas toward the Wichita Falls area, where storms can deliver hail, damaging winds, and intense downpours. Steady rain can stretch into the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles as well, with the northern plains looking dry. On the colder side of the very same storm, a significant early season snow event will continue, not only today but lasting into the early part of Saturday, producing up to 3 inches of additional snow around Denver, with amounts perhaps approaching 2 feet of snow around the Interstate 25 corridor from far southern Colorado through northeastern New Mexico. In the southeast, rainfall enhanced by deep moisture billowing northward from Hurricane Rafael in the eastern Gulf of Mexico will lead to downpours from northern Florida into parts of South Carolina, while the center of Rafael is expected to stay over the Gulf without posing a risk of direct impacts to the country. The continuing tropically enhanced rainfall will produce additional areas of flooding through the day today, with rainfall of over a foot possible in the hardest hit areas. Showers extend northward into the mid-Atlantic as a cold front pushes southward, with dry conditions from the northeast into the Great Lakes. A Santa Ana wind event delivers gusts of 40 to 80 miles per hour once again in Southern California, with dry and chillier conditions instead for a good portion of the west. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. As President-elect Donald Trump begins planning to re-enter the White House, he'll do so with partisan strength in Washington and a mandate from voters rarely seen. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
When it comes to students like me who are going to be graduating in the next few years, we care very deeply about our job prospects and also the ability to get on the housing ladder and the asset ladder so that we can start developing savings. I don't think that Vice President Harris's plan promotes a pro-growth strategy that's going to contribute to my well-being in the future.
I mean, especially with immigration and everything like that that's going on, I feel that Donald Trump has a better opportunity to fix those issues that we're having here. And I feel like it's time for a change.
I think the Republican Party was very smart with the strategy of, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
Donald Trump will be back in the White House after a political comeback for the ages. Trump tapped into voters frustrated with the Biden administration.
They were saying what you expect people to say when they're unhappy at the end of a presidential administration. And it wasn't enough simply to change the nominee.
University of Virginia political analyst Larry Sabato says Kamala Harris was unable to distance herself enough from President Biden. Enter Trump, who will have a GOP majority Senate, may have a Republican-led House, and
a Supreme Court with a supermajority of partisan Republicans.
Added up,
I can make an argument that no president has had this much power since Franklin Roosevelt. No president. Right? Reagan didn't. Obama didn't. You have to go back to Roosevelt. And that's where presidential character and personal character really matter.
And combined with what Sabato calls Trump's personal character problem.
We have a personal character problem with Donald Trump. And when you combine it with not unlimited power, but more concentrated power than any recent president has had, we're going to face a crisis at some point. That's such an easy prediction.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
When both chambers of Congress meet in January to officially certify the election results, the person who will be announcing the vote for the winner of the 2024 presidential election will be the same person who was defeated by President-elect Donald Trump. Correspondent Julie Walker has that story.
Donald Trump's presidential win will be certified in Congress in January by the candidate he beat, Vice President Kamala Harris. Under the Constitution, it's the role of the Senate president, and that's the vice president, to declare the result of a White House election. In theory, that happens January 6th, but it didn't happen 4 years ago. Trump refused to accept defeat, sparking a violent insurrection at the Capitol January 6, 2021, when then Vice President Mike Pence was to certify Democrat Joe Biden's win. Pence certified the win a day later.
The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Joseph R. Biden, Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes. The whole number of electors appointed to vote for Vice President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for Vice President of the United States are as follows. Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 306 votes. Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana has received 232 votes.
In 2000, after a grueling Florida recount battle, Al Gore conceded the presidency. And in January, as vice president, he certified George W. Bush's win. I'm Julie Walker.
President-elect Donald Trump's victory this week is bringing reaction from Europe and the Middle East, where two wars are raging. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
In his victory speech early Wednesday, President-elect Trump addressed some of his global intentions and touted what his administration did on that front in his first presidency.
We had no wars except we defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS in record time. But we had no wars. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
Mixed emotions on the ground for Europeans.
Everybody in Europe cheers for Kamala Harris because they think that Donald Trump is a lunatic who isn't going to do anything good for Europe. also that he will not support Ukraine and stuff like that.
This man's from Denmark and was in the States during the election.
I saw a poll in our biggest Danish news broadcast. Who do you cheer for, Kamala or Trump? Kamala got 90% of the votes.
As the war between Russia and Ukraine rages, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky congratulated Trump over social media.
Peace through strength. І коли це буде принципом політики 47-го президента Сполучених Штатів Америка і увесь світ.
Zelensky says he spoke with the president-elect and referred to the conversation as an excellent call. Trump and his running mate have voiced hesitancy in the past on continued American money being sent to Ukraine. And there's been a lot of speculation on how Trump will handle Russian President Vladimir Putin. While Trump has said he can end the conflict quickly, details on how that'll happen are unclear. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, where war escalates, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a statement directed at Trump saying, quote, "Your historic return to the White House offers a new beginning for America and a powerful recommitment to the great alliance between Israel and America." I'm Clayton Neville.
Gas prices fall, cryptocurrencies soar. That and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back here with America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. It took less than 24 hours for Rafael to ramp up from a tropical storm to a Category 3 hurricane slamming into the western part of Cuba and now entering the Gulf of Mexico. Rafael's 115-mile-per-hour winds took down a large portion of the communist island's power grid and was the first Category 3 storm to hit the island nation since Ian in 2022, and the second hurricane to hit the Havana area in recent weeks. The National Hurricane Center says there's now a lot of uncertainty as to where Rafael will go next. It's expected to weaken in intensity and wander in the Gulf of Mexico through Sunday. Some computer models have the storm turning north to central Louisiana sometime after Monday. Others predict it will move toward Mexico. A number of oil companies have moved their personnel off oil drilling platforms in the Gulf as a precaution. Shifting gears, the National Transportation Safety Board is on the scene in Arizona after 5 people were killed when a small plane crash-landed by the Mesa Airport. Correspondent Haya Panjwani is following the case.
Authorities say a 12-year-old boy was among 5 people who died in a fiery crash of a small business jet near a suburban Phoenix airport. The National Transportation Safety Board says preliminary information shows the 6-seater plane slid through a metal fence while aborting takeoff and crashed into a vehicle that was traveling on a road west of the airport. Local police say the driver of the vehicle was killed along with 4 of the 5 passengers on the plane. The unidentified pilot was hospitalized with serious burn injuries. I'm Haya Panjwani.
From the Golden State, thousands of people have been ordered to evacuate as a powerful wind-fueled wildfire is burning out of control. Correspondent Ben Thomas following that story.
I want to give out an acreage number of 10,431 acres that was measured by Sensory Aircraft. The containment number at this point in time is at 0%. We are aware that a number of structures have been damaged or destroyed in this fire thus far.
A major wildfire northwest of Los Angeles has exploded in size, prompting evacuation orders for more than 10,000 people. Ventura County Fire Captain Trevor Johnson.
Resources that arrived on scene initially were faced with a tough firefight. Crews immediately went into structure protection, property conservation, any type of suppression, and immediate life safety. Firefighters were right off the bat engaged in pulling people out of their houses and saving lives.
This fire has spotted more than 2.5 miles out in front of itself. Fire Chief Dustin Gardner says the mountain fire is a classic Santa Ana event.
Bushes are burning, grass is burning, hedgerows are burning, agricultural fields are burning, and structures are burning. This fire is moving dangerously fast.
I'm Ben Thomas.
Gas prices continue to fall across the nation. Correspondent Rita Foley has the update.
A year ago, the nationwide average for a gallon of gas was about $3.42 a gallon. Today, it's $3.10, about 32 cents less. Just in the past month, the price has dropped about 7 cents, says the AAA. Of course, if you're driving on the West Coast, you'll find the highest prices in the nation. $4.53 in California, $4.01 a gallon in Washington State. The lowest prices are in the South, $2.68 on average in Texas, $2.79 a gallon in South Carolina. I'm Rita Foley.
A total of 26 states, that's over half the nation, now have prices for regular gasoline starting at $3 or less. The United States continues to be the #1 producer of oil in the world, outproducing even Saudi Arabia on a daily basis. America in the Morning continues. When it comes to the 2024 election, there were a number of firsts. At 78 years old, Donald Trump becomes the oldest person elected as commander-in-chief. Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, is the first millennial and youngest ever vice president to serve in the White House. Vance is also the first former United States Marine to be VP. His wife, Usha, becomes the first Indian American and Hindu as second lady. Among other firsts, Delaware Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester and Maryland's Angela Also Brooks become the first black women in their respective states elected to Congress. North Dakota elected Julie Fedorchak, becoming that state's first woman to serve in the House of Representatives. New Jersey's Andy Kim leaves the House for the Senate in New Jersey and becomes the first ever Korean American senator. Our show continues. Cryptocurrencies hit a new record high on the news of a second Donald Trump presidency. Here's Chuck Palm with today's Tech Report.
Major cryptocurrencies and cryptocurrency exchanges are soaring after the election yesterday. Bitcoin set a new high price at over $76,000 per coin yesterday upon the news of a Donald Trump win for the presidential election. Trump had positioned himself as a crypto candidate and would work to protect the crypto industry. Coinbase, America's biggest crypto exchange, is up over 31% and trading around $255 per share. Coinbase went public back in 2022, allowing customers to buy and sell Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a number of other major cryptocurrencies, and is favored by many cryptocurrency investors. This year, Coinbase has reported a $75 million profit compared to $2 million in losses over a year ago. Back in September, President Trump promised to make the United States the crypto capital of the world. It looks like now he may get that chance. Bitcoin trading at $75,500 and Ethereum at $2,707. Follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
Over to the sports desk. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
NBA back in action Wednesday. The Cavaliers improved to 9-0 with a 131-122 win over the Pelicans. It's the best start in franchise history, and Cleveland is now the last unbeaten team in the association this season. The Nuggets handed the Thunder their first loss, 124-122, after Oklahoma City's 7-0 start. Russell Westbrook had 29 points, one of 4 starters to score over 20 for Denver, including Nikola Jokic, who had a 23-20-16 triple-double. Suns rose up from a 15-point deficit to shade the Heat. 32 for Kevin Durant, 6 dubs in a row for Phoenix. Warriors whipped the Celtics in Boston, 5 straight wins for Golden State. Hornets stung the Pistons on Brandon Miller's putback at the buzzer. Grizzlies dried up the Lakers despite 39 from LeBron James. Pacers down the Magic. Mavericks outran the Bulls. Hawks got by the Knicks. Kings crushed the Raptors. Clippers sailed past the Sixers. And the Rockets soared over the Spurs. College basketball, number 3 Connecticut rolled over Sacred Heart. 15th ranked Creighton defeated UT Rio Grande Valley. Blue Jays center Ryan Kalkbrenner had 49 points in their season opener. NHL Capitals clipped the Predators 3-2. Alex Ovechkin scored goal number 861. He's 33 behind Wayne Gretzky's record.
I'm always have fun, but how I said, when you win in games, when you producing opportunities to have a chance to score goals, it's always fun.
The Red Wings beat the Blackhawks and the Golden Knights down the Oilers. Week 10 of the NFL season begins tonight in Baltimore with the Bengals at the Ravens. That's Thursday Sports.
Thank you, Robert. When we return on America in the Morning, looters beware after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Welcome back. Hours after President-elect Trump spoke to the nation overnight when he declared victory, celebrities on both sides of the political aisle sounded off about the 2024 election. Entertainment correspondent Kevin Carr reports.
Celebrities of all stripes were not shy about endorsing their candidates of choice in the presidential election this week, and now that the race is over, they are not shy about the outcome. The women of The View sounded off on Wednesday morning, and Whoopi Goldberg was not happy.
He's now the president. I'm still not going to say his name. That's not going to change. What I'm not all right with is trying to further wreck the country.
Many other celebrities took to social media to share their joy or anguish, while Marvel actor Chris Pratt came under fire for a pre-election open letter, which did not include an endorsement, on Sunday, saying, quote, "It's okay to have a moment to lick your wounds when you lose. Heck, go ahead and cry in the mirror." Some readers praised him, but others criticized him for downplaying consequences. Jay Leno, appearing on The Talk, is not a fan of Trump, but he had a measured response.
The nice thing about this election is it was fair, it was honest.
Yeah.
Okay, I was not a fan, but that's okay. There was no cheating. Everybody says it was honest. I mean, it's a great day for democracy.
And getting a jump on his competition, late-night host Seth Meyers dropped his response early Wednesday evening.
This is something I accept. Half the country thinks he's a good person, or they don't care that he's not because they think he's a good president. And because of that, he's going to be our president again. That's how democracy works in America, a country that is a privilege to live in, even on a morning like today.
I'm Kevin Carr.
Looting and store theft in the San Francisco Bay Area has been an all too familiar headline, and during the election, California voters approved a ballot measure that's expected to help crack down on those offenders. Katie Clark has details.
Californians have seen a huge spike in crime in recent years. The current Los Angeles District Attorney, George Gascon, co-authored Proposition 47 in 2014. Prop 47 changed the way crimes were prosecuted, being much more lenient on theft. For example, theft of items worth up to $950 was charged as a misdemeanor rather than a felony. It eliminated cash bail, as well as no death penalty. On Tuesday, California voters passed Proposition 36, which essentially restores pre-Prop 47 policies. Retail theft repeat offenders will be charged now with a felony. A drug dealer will now be charged with murder if they sell drugs that kill the user. Overwhelmingly, 70% of Californians voted to pass Proposition 36. 60% of Los Angeles County voted District Attorney Gascon out, favoring Nathan Hochman, who says that he will be more tough on crime than his predecessor. I'm Katie Clark.
America in the Morning for Thursday, November 7th, 2024, is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.